Hello, lovelies. Hello, family. This is Kimberly Purpoz, and welcome. Today, I'm going to do another video. But before we start, I want to introduce you all to my new website, Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center. Therapy. Feel like you've fallen apart? Let us help you find the missing pieces in your life. Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center, PCWC, provides a variety of therapeutic counseling services geared towards helping individuals, families, and communities. Our goal is to assist individuals holistically through our transpersonal counseling and psychological services. This is my website. You all can check me out. And also, this is my profile on Psychology Today. We give affordable rates for families, for individuals as well. And we also do telehealth services, especially right now due to COVID-19. Okay, let us continue. Today we're going to talk about the Choctaw Indians. And I found this interesting journal, a wonderful journal. As a matter of fact, it's very detailed. This is the title of this article is Indian or Freedman: Enrollment, Race, and Identity in the Choctaw Nation from 1896 through 1907. This article discussed what took place. It was published by Oxford University Press, and it was written by Jesse T. Shearer. And I thought this was a great article. I looked through the journal trying to find more information. And when I saw some articles, especially the ones during the 1930s and the 40s, it was sort of discriminatory, biased in its approach and explaining things. And I really couldn't get much information. It's like it's hiding behind the truth. But I found this one. I found that the more current articles is more accurate. Usually the ones that are during a time period of things taking place and before is more accurate than the ones that took place during the Jim Crow era. I found that a lot of articles I came across were somewhat biased in their approach in explaining what happened with the changing of people's identity here in America, especially among the African Americans, the AKA American Aborigines. But we're going to start. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's very lengthy. I believe it's like 22 pages, and I just wanted to go over the first 2 pages because I wanted to highlight this again. And it also sort of explains what happened during Dawes Commission and with the Choctaw Indians and the five civilized tribes. It says here, Indian or Freedman enrollment, race and identity in the Choctaw Nation, 1896 through 1907. This article examines the standards of tribal membership of the Choctaw Nation. Present-day Oklahoma during the late 19th and 18th century. Although forced by the U.S. Congress to make rolls of its members, the Choctaw government willingly used race to trump other considerations when it came to determining citizenships, including long-held cultural practices. And this is also in a different language for people who needed to be translated. But I'm going to skip on down. So it just pretty much tells you what happened. And it shows you how the indigenous Aborigines, aka African Americans, the originals, the dark-skinned Indians, Negro Indians, got removed from the roll. And this is sort of supportive documentation. It says here on February 1906, Susan Bearhurst and her attorney, I think it's Brazhears, and her attorney appeared before the commissioner of the 5 civilized tribes in Muskogee Indian Territory to request that her children and grandchildren be placed on the official government rolls of Choctaw Indians by blood. Such a request was not particularly unusual at that time. During the 1890s and early 1900s, thousands of people tried to claim membership in the Choctaw Nation, and many of these claimants appealed to federal officials when they felt aggravated. Brashears and her family, like nearly all the former slaves and descendants of former slaves of the Choctaws, had been placed on separate rolls of Choctaw citizens known as Choctaw freemen. But Brashears claims that her marriage to a Choctaw man, Oliver McCoy, meant that her children possessed Choctaw blood from him. The question confronting the commissioner, therefore, was whether to enroll the Brashears children or Choctaw Indian by blood as Choctaw freedmen. And let's go on. I want y'all to also notate there are some references here, additional sources that you can refer to for additional supportive documentation. And it says here the question about identity and group membership has been contested in Choctaw Nation, although these issues came to the fore in the late 1880s and the 1890s, when the federal government destroyed the Choctaw sovereign government and allotted their tribal lands. Figure 1. In 1893, the U.S. government established Dawes Commission to negotiate the end of tribal government of the 5 civilized tribes: Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Cree, and Seminoles. According to an 1897 agreement between the Commission and the Choctaw Nation, the tribal government will exist for 8 more years, after which the tribal lands will be allotted and divided amongst the existing citizens, who number approximately 15,000 Choctaws, 5,000 freedmen, and 1,500 intermarried gray citizens. Choctaw and gray citizens will receive an allotment of 320 acres. See, this is how they did it, you all. 320 acres of land that each freeman received, and a mere 40 acres of such land. This stimulation required that each citizen be enrolled and placed into a specific racial category: Choctaw Indians, Black Choctaws, freemen, intermarried gray citizens, even though many people included that the children of the Brashears identified themselves as a combination of 2 or even 3 categories. And see, this is how they did it, you guys. What they did was they took all the dark-skinned Indians and the ones, there's been, throughout the history book, I read countless, several encyclopedias, references, scholarly journal articles that documented that, they pretty much kidnapped the indigenous Indians when they first came over here, and they just threw them into slavery. And they kept some, some were, and then when they started dividing up the lands once they won the wars, they started letting the lighter skinned Indians who were mixed, along with the grays who were married to the Indians, to stay in the tribes. And this whole paragraph sort of explains it the same way, that I've been seeing in other references, that they pretty much let the $5 Indians, because they allowed the $5 Indians to pay $5 to be on a Dawes Commission. And they took a lot of the names and identity of the original people who were on the list. And so they never were supposed to be on there. And some of the ones that were married, and then you had the mixed ones that were passing as being more Caucasian, they were allowed to stay on. And this is how they took them off. And the whole point was to break up the tribes, because the tribes were fighting hard to get their land and keep their land. But they didn't want that to happen. The Grays wanted the lands for themselves, and they wanted to keep it that way. And they used slavery as a tactic of dividing and conquering. And that's pretty much what took place. And that's why we have the Pale looking Indians that's in these tribes today, most of them, um, if they are indigenous, no, I wouldn't say indigenous, they're not. Pretty much, most of them are Caucasian. You can just look at them and tell. And a lot of them are the $5 Indians with no Indian blood in them at all, no Aboriginal, aka African American blood in them at all. They're pure European because they paid their way to get on the list. And the others are mixed with probably the African American Aboriginals, but it goes so far back that it doesn't really matter. They still considered to be at least 75% and upward as being Caucasian. And so it's like, you can't go 10 generations back and say that you're Indian and that's what they're doing. And that's why you see all these pale Indians. That's why you see all these pale Indians up there in these tribes, and they don't really belong there. And they marginalized the indigenous people and took them off. And let's continue. This is going to be the last paragraph. It says here the article examines the origin of the Bashir's claim and the basis of Choctaw identity and the inclusion of the various rules of the government. The creation of the final Choctaw tribal roll between the year of 1896 and 1907. For people of African descendants, full tribal membership came to be based on the restrictive and legalistic bureaucratic rulings and contentious federally sanctioned roles rather than the complex historical, cultural, and biological ties that have been bound to them. In slavery and freedom through coercion and choice, the Choctaws for over a century. And it's true. And that's what they did. Slavery is nothing more than them conquering the indigenous people that were already here in the Americas, which is the AKA African Americans, AKA American Aborigines, and the freedmen. Some of the Aboriginals were free, but they still denied them access into these tribes based solely on their skin tone, their complexion. It's pretty much a caste system. And it says, for these people, membership decisions seem subjective, inaccurate, and inconsistent, pretty much. And it says, confined with the limits of the alignment process, the Choctaw government, exquisite and in many ways collaborated with the federal government, using race as a means of trumping other considerations when it came to tribal membership. And that's exactly what they did. They just took all, they used the laws, they pretty much used the colorism, pretty much, it's still colorism, to get the original people off, pretty much. And the government did that too, to split up people. And it worked. Pretty much it worked so far. Everybody backstabbing each other and folks so fixated on color and skin complexion that it just sort of that's how we don't get anything done as indigenous people. And it says here, the Choctaw government did not passively accept American racial ideology. Instead of actively and consistently excluding people, it actively and consistently excluded people of African descent from the Choctaw laws. And first of all, this is a misnomer. They say African, people who have dark skin, in other words, people with Negro features, and like I said, people don't, it's already been proven. Many anthropologists have gone down to South America and Brazil. It's been documented that, the Australians were here first, and they're black, dark-skinned people. I say copper-colored, dark-skinned people with woven hair. And that's who we are. And they pretty much, it's been proven that we were already here. We've been here since the beginning. The Paleo Indians and the original people are the ones that were being denied to their rightful place as being the indigenous ones on this land. And so it says here, in doing so, the tribal government ultimately closed the avenues of people amidst Choctaw, Afro-Choctaw, in other words, the 100% Aboriginal Indians, ancestry to maintain dual identities and altered, redefine the meaning of what is meant to be a Choctaw. And also this Afro thing they keep on trying to say they brought everybody on boats has already been disproven. And we already disproved that we weren't brought over in boats. It was Aboriginals already here. People of what they claim to be of African descent was already here. We are the first. We're the Palean Indians that they often scave over and overlook in the history books, and always try to hide and just say, "Oh, we don't know what happened to them." You know exactly what happened to them. All you did was throw them in slavery. That's what happened. And if you're too lazy to pick your own cotton and pick your own produce, what makes you think that you're gonna be over there in Africa? And then the weather, the waves, everything, the weather is impossible during that time period to bring people over on boats. So all you did was capture the people. You had guns, and the Indians didn't have guns, and that's what happened. Um, and so all the people didn't die off. We were here the whole time. And that's the secret that's constantly being hidden. So I want to make sure y'all get this article. I'm going to make sure I put a link to this Scarlet Journal article. It's more to read. I just wanted to share that with you all about what took place, and I'm going to show you this book one more time. I know I show you this book all the time, but it's an excellent read. I'm going to stroll on down again to it. This is another good one. This book that I got in the American Indian Almanac by John Upward Terrell is a good one that has a list of all the Indians all over the Americas to do more research. And this article I wrote in my blog here, I always go back to it. The Dawes Commission, 1893 through 1914, is another excellent read to get more information of what took place, how we were changed from being an Indian to being Black, and African American, having all these crazy labels attached to us to hide the truth of who we really are. And so this is an excellent read. It explains in detail, very informative. And I got that information from Dane Calloway watching his channel. And then, of course, this particular scholarly journal articles give additional support to that and what happened to the Choctaw Indians and the 5 civilized tribes. The civilized tribes were pretty much made up of the indigenous Aboriginals, and the Southland Woodland Indians are us, and that's one thing we need to keep in mind. Because they said the copper-colored races, it didn't say it singly, but plural. And races, that means more than one. So it wasn't just the Mongoloids here, we were here too. They are the Clovis people, the second wave that came through the Mongoloids. We are the first, we're the original, we are the Palea Indians that came first. But I wanted to show you some of this artwork right here, this picture. I thought this was neat. I wanted to share it with you all. I found this on the internet. I think they're selling this on eBay if I'm not mistaken. It's another interesting information. This is a Choctaw Indian. I'm not sure what year this was. It doesn't say. But I just thought this was really neat. It says Choctaw Indian, descended from the one family of Zanesville, Ohio. Family believe their grandfather was part Choctaw in the original Seals. So, and this is another American Aboriginal. More than likely was part Choctaw and considered African American. Everybody knows that the African Americans here, especially during the 1800s, were Indians too. They were the Negro Indians, and that they speak of and hide in the history books. But yeah, and you can see the features right here. And let's see here. I found some more articles here, but we're not going to have time to read all of this. This was another interesting read that goes over. I found this under the Native American Roots.net, and they showing some more information about the migration, material culture, and family. It's another interesting read if you want to learn more about the culture and everything. I'll put a link there. I like to show more references. And I found another interesting topic here on Reddit. It's called My Grandmother in the 1940s, Choctaw Indian, Oklahoma, and I thought this was a cool read. Well, it's really not a read. It was just sort of like people commenting on this beautiful photo. Isn't she pretty? Someone posted their grandma, and they said that she is Choctaw Indian. And let me see if I can find it at the top. And this is what the Choctaw Indians look like, the original. And a lot of the people that look like this were taken off the Dawes Roll and replaced by the $5 Indians. And people left their comments underneath. One person said beautiful, another person said these cheekbones scream Native American. And then someone has a sarcastic remark down here. There's always someone saying, well, she half Native, half Black. Just curious. She's beautiful. Look like she's very sweet and caring woman. Well, I guess I wouldn't say an insult. It's just that everybody still got this idea that just because you have this hair texture, you're Black. But the Aboriginals look like this, and the original Indians had woven wavy curly hair right here. But I guess it wasn't an insult. But like I said, people still fixated on the narrative that we came over on boats from the Atlantic, and and that they enslaved all the Africans and Black, and totally disregard that, that people like us, the copper color races, were already over here, and the fairy tale still lives on. And right now, that's why I do these videos, to educate the public and to, for us to understand that we need to understand who we are in order to make progress in this country, just as a whole, and for ourselves, because for too long we have gone being oblivious and not sure of who we are, and acting, continuing the legacy or the generational curse, like they say, of being lost and confused. And when you're lost and confused, you can't grow from your past mistakes. That's why we have to look at what took place in the past and have a better understanding in order to make a difference now, and to move on into the future, into making better decisions and growing and making improvements for our future generation. And that's why I do these videos. And another video article I found here, I thought this was a really neat article about this American Aboriginal woman. I want to give a current story as well. I believe this article was posted on DNA consultants.com, and I saw this article about this. It says a photo of a Patois enrolled in the membership of Choctaw tribe, raised on Mississippi Choctaw Reservation, now an engineer working for NASA. See, we're still doing great things. And if you look at her, you will look at her and say, oh, most people say she's African American. And really, she's embracing her identity of who she really is. And that's what we all need to be doing. And it says here, the Mississippi Band Choctaw is one of the federally recognized tribes of Choctaw Native Americans. On April 20th, 1945, the band organized under the Indian Regulation Act of 1934, and also 1945. The Choctaw Indian Reservation was created from lands in Neshoba Lake, Newton, Scott, and John Alta Kemper in Winston County in Mississippi. The Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians is the only federally recognized Native American tribe in the state. The current Miko or tribal chief of Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians is Phyllis Anderson, J. Anderson. She was elected in September 2011 as the first woman to serve as chief of the tribe. And okay. And they got a woman. They just going into details about what happened. It says Choctaw regularly travel hundreds of miles from their home on long periods of time, moving from seasonal hunting. They set in early fall and return to their reserved lands in the open spring to plant their garden. So, and it goes on to tell you more about the Choctaw Indians, their population size. And it says here, unrelated individuals live in the Southeast United States in 2016. And they had the source that all this comes from right here. But I just wanted to share this story about this one Choctaw. I think her name is Paul Tucci Valorino. Okay, and she's part of the tribe too. And everybody know that, if they would classify her, they would classify her as African American, but she's embracing her indigenous heritage. But I just want to share these with you all. I can go on and on. I'm always looking at pictures and stuff. Here's another artwork, you guys, I wanted to share with you all. Another Choctaw picture. Says portrait of a Choctaw Indian man. And it says here the artist Alfred Basil. And I'm not sure what date this was done. It doesn't have a date on here. Yeah. But here's another picture. Oh, yes, it does. It's up here. Parisian-born Alfred Basil worked in New Orleans from 1845 through 1865, where he painted a portrait of Indian man. Choctaw Indians frequently sold goods in marketplaces around the town. And so he gave a date range, 1845 through 1865. So, and you see his skin complexion, and they're dark. And there are people. So I wanted to share these. I would love to hear what you all think about the Choctaw Indians. I just wanted to share this journal with you all. I'll make sure I put a link to it for you all to do your own research, because that definitely gives you more feedback as to what took place, and getting rid of the mystery that's often associated with what happened to our people, and have a better understanding of why we've been labeled so many times, and why our grandparents kept on insisting, or great-grands kept on saying we were Indians. And then we go into school for indoctrination and hearing that we are slaves and that we're nobodies. And like I said, a form of abuse that a lot of us have faced, mental abuse. And now it's time that we need to heal and grow from what our past experiences, and make things right with ourselves and healing ourselves. That's why I did the Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center. I counsel people, on how to tap back into your indigenous roots, the American Aboriginals, how we can reconnect, heal ourselves. We got to heal ourselves first, and then and heal our children, as these generational that's been passed down throughout our DNA. It's been proven in stories about that. I did a video on that as well, about your DNA and how trauma is passed through your DNA. Y'all might want to check that out too. I think I did that about 2 years ago, a year or two ago. But I can go on and on, you guys. I'm going to stop right here with this particular video. And till next time, family, love and peace. Bye-bye.